Hi guys. So this past weekend, my husband was a panelist for a young adults summit at a church, and it was a panel discussion, and they had different subjects that they were talking about. And the one that I was so surprised about that had the biggest reaction was when they were talking about depression amongst young adults. And so I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that, because even since then, I've had several people that I know, call me and talk about this. They didn't even know that we had this discussion. So, like, all this week, this topic has been reigning loud in my spirit. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that. Depression is when you feel sad, you feel heavy, you feel burdened, like you don't feel yourself, like you just feel hopeless, you feel like there's just, like, no matter what you do, you just can't get right. And it has to be diagnosed by a doctor, but essentially when you have depression, you'll know it. The symptoms include your sad, anxious, or empty mood, feeling of hopelessness, feeling of guilt, worthless, or helplessness, decreased energy, aches and pains like physical ailments, and thoughts of suicide or death, or even suicide attempts. And this, I'm talking more so to like the millennials. So that's if you were born between 1977 and 1995. I'm talking in this age group. This is like my age group, right? So a few things. Millennials are the largest generation, over 85 to 90 million people in the U.S., and we're also the most educated. So that causes you to be for the most educated generation, but yet there's still so much unemployment rate, there's underemployment, you know what I mean? There's so many things that affect us on a day-to-day financially that can weigh on you, especially if you're having a hard time, like providing and things like that for your family. 40% of unemployed workers are millennials. 40%. Again, if that's 40%, but we're also the highest educated, how are we going to pay back our student loans? Forget even going that far. How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to put food on the table? Millennials have a higher level of student loan debt, poverty, and unemployment, and lower levels of wealth and personal income than any other generation at this stage in life. And that's true. Like, it's so true. And that can weigh on you. That it's hard. An obsession with success. We have become so obsessed with success that it forces us to compare ourselves. We're like, especially when you see them on social media, you're like, oh, look at what they're doing. They just bought this house. They just bought this car. And you're comparing yourself to the things you see on social media. And by the way, not everything you see on social media is true. So we're comparing ourselves to things that may or may not be true, because people be fronting for the gram. This ain't nothing new. So why are you comparing yourself to something that you aren't even 100% is valid? I saw this quote, we're all struggling, yet we're all struggling to make it appear like we're not struggling. Which is true. You got to fake it till you make it. I'm a true believer in that. But it's a difference between fake it till you make it and comparing yourself and making yourself, put yourself in a worse situation just because you're trying to keep up with somebody that you see on social media. That's not cool. But the depression, and I've had a few instances with depression myself. I had a little stint with it in my early 20s, and then I also had just a little stinge of postpartum depression after both of my kids. And it's not easy. It's not easy. You can't understand why you feel this way. You don't want to feel this way. And it's hard to bring yourself out of. But it's possible. It's possible. You have to tell yourself, I'm okay. Even when you're not okay, tell yourself you're okay. You know why? Because the power of life and death lives in your mouth. So what you say is what you become. So if you tell yourself, look, you're okay. Today may be a rough day, but guess what? Press through and have a great day. Press through the situation. You'll get through it. And again, I've been there. So I know Me talking to you saying press through is easier said than done. But if you're consistent and you want to truly change it, you can absolutely do it. So for me, I learned that because the power of life and death is in my mouth, that I can bring myself out of it. So when I was in my early 20s, I didn't know the things that I know now. So after I had my kids and I felt these feelings start to creep back up, I was like, you know what, let me tell you something, right? So here are a few scriptures that kind of got me through. Psalms 34:7, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of your troubles. That one right there is powerful enough, because all you have to do is say, God, help me. He hears you. He'll deliver you. He'll help you. Psalms 40:1 and 2, I waited patiently for the Lord to help me, and he turned to me, and he heard my cry. He lifted me out of the pit of despair, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on solid ground and steadied me as I walked along. Again, it's the same thing. All you have to do is cry out to the Lord. And again, I've been there. It's easier said than done, but that's your first step. That's your first step to recovery. Now, by all means, please, 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 I encourage you to talk to someone who you're close with, whether it be your parents, an aunt, an uncle, your pastor, the neighbor, your best friend. Please, 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 because this is a serious matter, and it's affecting more people than you can imagine. And we all put on a front like we're okay, but deep down inside, we feel like we have no worth and no value, and it brings us down, and it affects the way you live your life. So please, I encourage you to get with someone, link up with someone, talk to them about this so that they can help you get through it. Because if you keep feeling this way for too long, then that's when these thoughts of I shouldn't be here, I'm worthless, I don't mean anything, then that's when those thoughts start creeping in. And God knows that that is not what you want. That is not what you want. So I thank you guys for listening. Please like and share my videos. If this helps you in any way, if you know anybody struggling, please reach out to them. Please, please, please. It's so essential. And until next time, bye.